Everyone wants to reach more students for Jesus, and youth ministries are notorious for trying gimmicks to get kids to come. But what we really want is for kids to come and stick. On today's episode, Shannon and I talk about why students, especially those without a church background, might want to come be part of our ministry. What does a healthy youth ministry offer that students today are looking for? Of course, the answer is Jesus, but what is the Velcro that will keep them coming back so they can meet him? It's a fun conversation, so roll down your windows and let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back to the Youth Ministry Sherpas Coast to Coast podcast. My name is Steve Anderson, and I'm joined today by the lovely Shannon Dunn. Hi, Shannon.
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Good. We got two of us into the studio today, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
It's tough rolling scheduling 3 of us.
Yeah, it is. But it's good to see you today. We are proud members of the Download Youth Ministry Podcast Network, and we're happy to be with you today talking youth ministry. I am in Frederick, Maryland. Shannon is in Malibu, California, thus the coast to coast. And Shannon, I know I'm just getting back from a weekend retreat with our high schoolers, and you are getting ready for one of your biggest events of the year. So you are tired in advance.
Yeah.
And I am tired post.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
Which is worse?
I don't know. Describe how you're feeling right now.
Okay. Today I'm tired. We're doing this on a Thursday. The retreat was over on Sunday. Here's my pattern. Monday, I'm tired, but I'm okay. Like I have some juice. I think it's the adrenaline still rolling through the veins. But Tuesday, I am toast. There's a moment every Tuesday after a trip where I feel this deep exhaustion.
Yeah.
Do you feel that? Is that unique to me, or is that a thing?
No. I call it feeling like you were hit by a truck. It's like literally you're physically mental, like you can't move, you can't get out of bed. Yeah, no, definitely.
I call it the day after the day after.
Yeah.
And I've just noticed that pattern.
Yeah.
But I also get tired before the events. I think I put that on Instagram. Like I get nervous and anxious, and so I have this like kind of tiredness before. Are you feeling some of that?
You know, it's interesting. I was reflecting because I'm really tired. My event is in a week from tomorrow. I'm really tired right now. But I think normally before an event, I am like I'm definitely always anxious and stressed, but I don't feel like I feel tired.
Okay.
I feel like I can't even feel how I feel because I'm going so fast. I always describe myself as like the theory of like an object in motion stays in motion. And so before an event, I stay in motion because if I like sit down, if I stop, if I pause, then it like can hit me. So like, like an event day, I'll like get up and I'll just get here early, even though I don't need to get here. And I'll just like keep moving because if I stop, it's not good.
Yeah.
But I'm tired. I actually am tired. So I'm taking a day off tomorrow, which is like a full rest retreat day, which is, I actually scheduled it before I put into my brain that it was exactly a week before the event, but I'm going to do it anyways. We're going to be fine. We're going to make it.
I love that you did that, actually. I'm reading this book on Sabbath by Mark Buchanan. I've read it before. I read it 20 years ago and haven't practiced it much since. But I believe that if you take that day tomorrow and really, really get away, that you will get more done in the days that follow than if you tried to push through tomorrow and
I hope so.
said, I got so much to do, I can't get away. So I think I will reward you for that.
And Sabbath isn't necessarily supposed to be easy, right? Like it's like I could plan a quote unquote easier day to take a Sabbath, but the point is that we do it, right? So
yeah. Oh, that's a good model. I hope it works.
Thanks. Thanks.
So
Me
driving
too.
up the coast, drinking coffee on the Pacific. So that doesn't sound like too bad.
That's the plan. And it's in like 80 in California. So it's going to be beautiful.
Awesome. Well, today we thought we'd talk about making kids stick or helping kids stick. Let's call it that. You can't make them stick.
I don't want them to be sticky, but
Sticky. You know, we have the desire, obviously, to reach new students, to be outreach oriented, to have new people in our flock and our crowd all the time. And youth pastors are notorious for finding crazy and creative ways to do that.
That's right.
And that's great. That's great. We could probably talk about some of those things, but really the bigger objective is trying to help kids really get deeply embedded and committed into our ministry so that we can help them grow spiritually. And so we thought we'd talk today about some of the practices, what that looks like, how we welcome kids in, where they're coming from, how we encourage our students to invite them, and some of that kind of stuff. So yeah. Shannon, this was your topic. So what kind of prompted this?
I guess I was just really thinking about teenagers. I guess that's what youth pastors do. And I was just kind of thinking, like, why would they want to come? Why would they show up to church? And, you know, this may be very different if in different parts of the country. I imagine there are parts of the country where going to church is sort of a bit more normalized. Like, it's just of culturally, like, not weird. I think in Malibu and in California, it's a little bit the opposite. It's like, ooh, it's got a little, you know, like, that's weird.
You're going to church?
It's culty. That's a cult. Or like, I think there's some of that associated. And so, I just was thinking, like, why do kids come? And then I started, like, thinking about the silly things we do to get kids to come. And I don't mean silly as in bad. I just, we come up with all kinds of things, like invite your friend and you and your friend get to get a gift card or whatever it is. We like, you know, come up with these ways.
It's called bribery.
We bribe kids to come to youth ministry. Full support there. But then, you know, did they like it? Do they like it? And why would they stay? And what are they really showing up for? Right? Are they showing up for the gift card, or what's the reason? What's the reason a brand new kid who's never been to church is walking through the door? And I was just thinking about, has that changed? You know, is it different with each age and stage? You know, I have a 5th grader. We've been filling out forms for middle school. Crazy. She's choosing her electives for 6th grade this year. And so, you know, I think about her too. And she goes to like a 4th, 5th youth group. And, you know, why does she want to go to youth group? And and how do we get them to stay once they're there?
Let's talk about how new students are coming to your church. Do you have any sense of, are students coming because their family started to attend and so they say, you should go try out the youth ministry? Is it by some event that's bringing them in that looks really fun? Is it their friends inviting them? What do you tend to see as a pattern at Malibu Pacific?
3 things came to mind, none of which were the events that we try to throw, actually. Parents showing up and then getting involved, for sure. Friends inviting. And then actually meeting students on campus. We are able to have lunch on campus. Stuart, our youth pastor, will go and just literally sit and have lunch. And he makes connections that way. And
that's cool.
And I don't think a ton show up from that, but I definitely think they now know who he is, who our church is, and some of them have shown up because of that, which is really cool.
And this is probably one of those things that will differ a lot by geography. Maryland's probably in the middle between church is a cult and everybody goes to church.
Totally.
So I think our primary way, certainly when families show up to Mountain View, families move here because, well, they're not moving here for working in DC anymore because nobody's going to work in DC anymore. But, you know, a lot of government jobs, a lot of military pass through this area. So we have that. But I think the most common thing that brings new students into our ministry is their friend invites them. And it is such a cool thing. Every week we have some new students come to our regular stuff. We didn't advertise it. they show up because a friend invited them.
Yeah.
I think that's the
That's
best way.
That's really cool, by the way, that you have your student. Have you how have you
Yeah.
channeled that into your students to actually
Yeah.
invite their friends?
That's probably a whole long conversation.
Yeah. Okay, we'll podcast that later.
Yeah. Let me just give it a quick. We have talked about evangelism. We did an evangelism initiative last year called One Life. But really it's more about they love it here. And so they invite their friends. It's the culture that they're part of,
Yes.
that they're inviting others into. And for some it's hard, but for some, so yeah, I think they're inviting friends to something that they enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's
now,
a good
why
sign.
do your students enjoy your youth group? I mean, these are the questions. I literally am like, well, why? Why do they like it?
I think they like it for the teaching. I think that's the number one thing.
The head youth pastor's teaching.
They come to hear me teach. Yeah. No, they come because of the relationships.
Yeah.
They come for the friendships and the environment. And we have great adult leaders, volunteers that love them. They feel loved. They feel like they belong. We work really hard to make them feel that way.
Yeah.
So like we just did this high school retreat, and we had probably 6 to 8 students out of about 90 that have been new this year since September. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what happens? You have all these friends inviting friends. What happens when they show up at your youth group?
Yeah. Well, we have student leaders and adult leaders. They're all ready to welcome kids. So it's a welcoming place. It feels welcoming when you come in. They're greeted at the door. There's a little bit of hype. There's music. We have food. We have a real nice check-in process. So everybody who's new gets to fill out a card and meet one of the leaders. They get a little tour from a student. So there's all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they just feel like this is a place where I could connect and fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything particularly special. It's just a culture that we've built.
Yeah.
So there's no gimmick. We don't have a gimmick. We don't give away gift cards. They get a free soda. Nobody's coming to youth group to get a free soda, right? So, yeah, I don't know.
I still go back to this question of I don't know, if I didn't know Jesus, if I didn't know church.
Yeah.
Now look, I can't picture me as a teenager. Me as a teenager was obsessed with youth group. It was
right.
Life.
You were a youth group kid.
I was a youth group kid, but yeah, I think about the teenagers I know, and it just seems like such an imposition almost on their life. And and so it's so interesting to think that they want to be here. So I'm they're obviously looking for something, right? They're looking for something. If they're willing to show up, if they're willing to come, if they trust their friend to show up to a church.
Yeah. I think there's a couple different kinds of students who show up. I think there are the curious ones who I'll go check it out. I heard it's fun, and they'll come. There's always a few kids from other youth groups who are coming to check out the rival or whatever. But this is the trend I've noticed, Shannon. I think maybe this is where we should go with the conversation. I think there are students who genuinely are looking for a community of people who are safe and who care about them, that they want to connect to. I think there's a certain group of students, a certain mindset of this world is really difficult. I don't really fit in with this crowd at school because I don't like this kind of thing or this activity or, whatever. I want fun, but I want normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had a couple kids just this year who kind of expressed that. It's I was really just looking for a place that I felt safe and known, and I wanted to learn about God. Wow. I don't know why. They wanted to learn about God.
Yeah.
So they landed here.
Yeah, and I would say to continue that, I think there is a desire and a need to be somewhere where they can have deep conversation, like talk and feel and and be real, like real conversation. I think that's, I don't think there's a ton of place or space for that at school. There may not be place and space for that in their homes. So how are friends having the opportunity to engage in, real deep conversations? I think that's really powerful. And I think students actually want that. They want to process things. They want to talk about things.
Yeah, you're right. And we have small groups every night.
Yeah.
So they're going into a small group. Our leaders are well equipped and trained to kind of make them feel like part of what's happening. Sometimes it's hard to get the other students to be that way, but that's the goal. And so they want to hear from everybody in the room. And yeah, I think you're right. A kid comes in and they don't get a chance. They don't feel heard at school. And maybe they don't feel that heard at home. They come into a small group with a friend. They see a few other kids from their school. Everybody's participating in the conversation, and the adult is leading them in a way that makes them feel like they're just as much part of the group as the kid who's been here for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a deep power in that.
Yep. Leading preteen ministry is one of my fave sweet spots. And I always told my leaders who led small groups of 4th and 5th graders, I was like, honestly, one of the most important things that can happen is that they got to speak during the group. I just think even if it was, sharing about their new goldfish and what that goldfish was named, it's like,
right.
I just think that there's something important for them as they're learning their identity and who they are, and, and having a voice to talk about that and not be shut down or anything that they might experience in other spaces.
I had the joy of sitting in with the junior girls here a couple weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
And I have 2 leaders in that group. They're both moms. They've been in the youth ministry now for a long time. They would tell you, we don't feel like we are good youth leaders. Like, we don't feel equipped for this. We're in over our heads, but they are so great. And I just watched them. It was a master class in leading this group, because there were girls there who have been in the ministry since 6th grade. And there were girls there who have been there twice. In fact, there was one girl who was there for the first time. They made sure everybody spoke. And the things that the girls were saying were like super meaningful. They were, the one girl who's only been here for like 3 months said, I'm already worried about graduating because I'm going to lose this community that I have here. I thought, oh my gosh, that's so precious.
Yeah. Yeah. Students are looking for that community.
They are. Yeah.
But it's interesting, right? Because as we're talking about this, I know some youth groups that have gone to like almost let's just do small groups for high schoolers midweek, right? Without the games, without the other things, right? And it's interesting because I don't know that if you were like, I don't know if that was the entry point, like just show up to a small group, if that would, I don't know. Actually, the question is, would that draw new people? Or does that create an atmosphere that is really just for an insider?
It's a good question. It might depend on the kind of tenor of the small group.
Sure. If
everybody feels like they are an insider, they act like they're an insider. It's all inside jokes and everybody knows every Bible verse, and that's not very welcoming.
Right.
If it's warm, I mean, Young Life meets in homes.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a different atmosphere, but they get kids in homes because it's just so fun and their friends are there. So I think it can work.
Well, right. But that's still right. That's still then not just technically only a small group. You're
right. Yeah, you're right.
In the like literal sense.
It's a big group actually. Yeah.
It's like, I guess there is some importance in inviting your friends to the environment, the games, the other things, right?
Mhm.
Like if a friend just said, "Hey, come have a conversation with me and 10 other girls," like would that
Yeah.
draw a friend?
Right. Right.
Uh would that be as easy to invite to?
Shannon, do you know when you're leading a group, you sense that moment like you're doing a game or something. Okay, it's not the serious time. You're leading a game. Maybe you're even teaching, and there's that moment where you just know everybody in the room feels like they are part of this thing.
Mm,
That sweet spot, that sweet moment
yeah.
doesn't happen every time. Sometimes you're playing a game and half the kids are sitting on the side
Yeah.
refusing to play.
Yeah.
But there are those moments where you just feel it in the room.
Mhm.
I think that I'm trying to create that all the time.
Mm. Mhm.
I think that draws kids back.
Yes. You're a part of something.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So, what causes them to move on through and never return?
Yeah.
And I would love to hear from listeners what your experience is with just being able to retain students, integrate new students into the ministry, because that is a perpetual challenge, right?
Right.
Keeping kids, getting them to come back second time, third time.
Right. And if it is whatever it is, maybe it was an outreach event,
Mhm.
and then it's like they came and then they're like, "Oh, next time isn't,
Right.
this event, it's, Bible teaching." How do you
Yeah.
continue to keep them engaged, coming back, wanting more?
Right.
I
Yeah.
guess I'm a little pessimistic about
Are you?
teenagers. Not
Yeah.
that's not the right word. Like I still am like, what we're inviting them to is weird.
Maybe your group's weird. I've seen all those memes. It's like you invite someone to church, you told them it isn't weird, and the meme is always the weirdest possible thing. People run
Totally.
it. Oh, there's some funny stuff out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I know we've had weird moments. I think I've told this story before. Years and years ago, we were meeting in homes then because we didn't have any youth. We didn't have a church building.
Uh-huh.
So one night we had this prayer and like reflective night plan. So it was going to be super chill, and I had candles and stuff. And this kid walks in. He came to church that morning and came to youth group that night in a home.
Mm-hmm.
He walked in late, and we were sitting in a circle with a bunch of candles. And I thought, he probably thinks we're about to sacrifice a goat.
Yeah.
But he's stuck, and he was a youth leader, and he's one of my
Aw.
great friends. So,
Well, and that is the thing. As much as I go to like what we're inviting them to is weird,
Yeah.
I think we know the presence of Jesus is there.
Right.
And that's transformative. And so if a kid is encountering Jesus in any way, while they're there, I hope and pray that's what they're seeking. Maybe they're not ready and maybe they don't come back. But if they're there seeking after something and looking for something, it can be the candlelit circle and they meet the presence of Jesus. It can be weird and abnormal from what a normal teenager thinks life looks like. And yeah, that's going to captivate them, right?
I think it's good to remember that every person has a multitude of motivations. They couldn't even tell you what they are. But if you could somehow put them on a pie chart, a kid has a motivation to come to your program this particular week. It might be 25%, I'm just really curious about God, 50%, my friend asked me, and 25%, I heard so-and-so is going to be there, and I would really like to go out with her. You could throw in 20 different variables.
Yeah.
And there might be any percentage of those things at play in that student's mind. And so from that point of view, I just want the environment to be the one that doesn't turn them away, does the opposite, makes them at least curious, if not feeling great about it. Don't press any of those factors too far until you know why they're there, and then let the spirit play out.
Yeah.
If they're there because, like this girl who just said, I just had a spiritual longing in my life and I want to find God, and then so and so asked me to come. Like that's happened to us in the last year or two with a couple kids. Like God is at work
Yeah.
in this generation.
Yeah.
And we just happen to be the repository that they landed in for
Yeah.
their spiritual journey, which is such an honor.
I think you're so right, though. It's so much about creating an environment that's, in a sense, very open to receiving no matter how they're coming or why
Yes.
they're coming. So it's welcoming and it's engaging and it's, open and it's got community and but it's just this environment ready to receive whoever it is.
Yes.
Why, no matter why they're showing up.
Yeah. My mantra with my team is the greatest need of the human heart is to belong.
Mm.
And I think that drives a lot of what we do. I think it is the number one motivation in people. I will argue that theologically. I just think the greatest need of the human heart is to belong. And so there's no greater moment or like more vibrant experience of that than when you're like 16 years old.
Yeah.
And so youth ministry has that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, from your point of view, Shannon, when kids don't stick, like
Mm-hmm.
how far do you go? Like, to pursue
Do we chase them
them?
down? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't push very hard personally. I mean, we maybe reach out, maybe check in with a friend that knows them,
Mm-hmm.
but I probably won't reach out more than like one time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm not a pester.
Hey, it's Shannon.
Hey,
Where you
remember
been?
me? We met one time at
I know it was 6 years ago, but I've been thinking about you. That's a little creepy.
No, but you know what I do? I will say this. What I love about the small community that I live in is that so often I will organically find a way to run into or connect and just be like, and that's when the little things like remembering a name or something is. And then I just, I feel good about, that sounds weird to say. I'm not like, but I just, if they never come back, I rest assured in that the fact that I remembered them the next time I saw them and said, hey, and was kind to them, planted a seed that was important for them,
Yeah. We ask our leaders, we have it set up in this way. This is the language we use. We call it the flock, family, and few. So our leaders are by grade and gender, and we give them, they have a directory of all the kids. And, the directory is based out of who's been here maybe in the last 6 months to a year. And then if they don't show up that long, then we take them off. But we leave them on for a while. And we ask our leaders to follow up with them one time.
Yeah.
For the flock, the ones who are like, they showed up, but they don't really come. And then we ask them to pour into the family, the ones who show up regularly, and then really pour into the few who are really asking for more leadership or discipleship. But that's kind of how we frame it. And it's a challenge because there's a lot of kids and it's hard to reach out to somebody you just met one time and not be creepy.
Right.
But they do a great job of that. And like, for example, these same junior leaders I was talking about, there was a girl that came last year. She came with her older brother and he graduated and she hasn't been back this whole year. But they still text her and encourage her to come because they had some relationship with her.
Right.
Hasn't worked yet, but they're trying, and she feels, she didn't leave angry. She just got out of the habit.
Yeah.
So she feels cared for.
Yeah.
There's something to that. Maybe that'll come back around down the road somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard work. It's hard work.
It is hard work.
And it's hard work. Like, It's hard work logistically, keeping track.
I was going to say that. Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
lot of admin work behind
There
it.
is a ton of admin work behind it. It's hard work emotionally because you are getting rejected
Yep.
frequently. And it's just hard work spiritually because you feel like every encounter you have might be the only one, and you just want to do right by them. So there's a lot of pressure to it as well if you take it that way. Yeah, we had a girl show up last year for our Super Bowl party on February, it's a week before the Super Bowl, February 2nd or whatever. That first night, she's like, she had been to, I won't throw too much shade. She'd been to another youth group. She had a strange experience and she didn't want to go back. And this other friend invited her here. She came. She has literally been here every week since. Joined student leadership, got baptized, accepted Christ. Not in that order. There's a reverse order. Is going to go on our mission trip this summer, probably.
Yeah.
So that's a win. That's how you want it to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. For every Blake, her name's Blake. For every Blake, if I look at my little Google spreadsheet, there's 10 probably who came back once, and there's 20 who didn't come back.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that actually reminded me of a girl, Sammy, whose family does not come here. So she came with friends and started in middle school, I believe, or maybe freshman year. The part that is nice is that she has a little bit of history because we had a preschool attached to our church. So sometimes we have this sweet spot where like a kid feels well, that's where I went to preschool, and they'll like circle back, even though their family doesn't come to the church or anything. But it's kind of sweet because they have this little comfort zone from it.
They have animal crackers at that church. I'm going back.
Totally, exactly. How many goldfish am I going to get? But she is so involved at our church now. Just loved it. Kept coming back. Here's the thing. She's not super involved in the youth group, but she volunteers in her kids ministry as a high schooler every Sunday. And she, invites her youth leaders to her gate. So she is involved, but sometimes the actual youth group is not this time of, the time she can come. She's busy or whatnot, but she's still jumped in to get involved in church. Even when she's not serving, she comes on a Sunday morning. So that's kind of been a sweet story to see. Again, she's still seeking after and coming with what she needs. Serving the kids is what she needs in her,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool. I think we have this unique moment in our culture where there are students who are really seeking God kind of out of the blue.
Yeah, I think so too.
I sense a difference in that. Their families aren't Christian. Maybe they have a couple Christian friends, or maybe they're seeing something on social media. I don't know. But God is moving in some of these students seemingly randomly. I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. I think the church flourishes the less the culture is moderately Christian, right?
That's right.
So the Spirit's at work in kids, and we should be encouraged by that and do everything we can to make them feel welcome when they come, and follow up with them as best we can and try to help them to stick. Because I think what we offer is deep community and relationships.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're still coming, even if I think it's strange that they decide to.
Even if they're coming to the cult. I have a funny story about cult. So we did an episode years ago on this show. It was called How to Build a Culture. No, creating a culture. One of my favorite topics. But when it would come up on my Apple CarPlay on the dashboard, it said creating a cult. Which isn't what we were trying to accomplish. But you know what? If they come,
who cares?
I had a parent call me a cult leader once.
I'm sure. All right. Takeaway of the day: don't be a cult.
Don't be a cult, and make kids feel welcome. Just be normal.
Be normal.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. Well, if you've enjoyed the show, give us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes. Share us with a friend. Reach out to us at youthministrysherpas@gmail.com or at Instagram. We are out there all the time. We'd love to hear from you, connect with you, and try to build this show and encourage people doing youth ministry all around these United States of America, coast to coast. Shannon, I hope you have an amazing day tomorrow.
Thank you.
Out there drinking your coffee, looking at the Pacific. I hope you just feel refreshed, rejuvenated, restored, ready to go into your big event next weekend.
That's right.
So that the day after,
Be dead.
All right.
Good.
It's great to see you, friend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.